And the one thing I learned on my way to the NBA was that I was doing research on how to become elite. And my career lasted 3 years, and I was a little upset about that. But the good thing, my wife and I launched a business, and we've been able to go around the world and teach professionals, business owners, CEOs, entrepreneurs, everything that we've learned. So the book Swim is really about fundamentals of success in the business world. And the most important fundamental is having a coach and a mentor. And when I think about a shark and a suckerfish, that's the metaphor of a mentor. You know, people see me as being successful now and, being wealthy now. Here's my truth. I flunked out my first high school, and I didn't start on my college basketball team. So I learned how to become elite. And that's why I'm on a mission to teach others how to become elite. It doesn't matter where you are right now. We can teach you how to become elite if you are coachable.
Welcome back to the nationally syndicated Price of Business show. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. And any long-term listener show knows how much I love sports and as much as business, especially when the two are intertwined, and especially when you can learn some great life principles when it comes to sports. And we've got a great guest today who's going to help us just in this very area. Of course, when it comes to sports and business, I always love having my friend Chris Kidd join me as a co-host for these segments. And Chris Kidd, of course, his website is chriskidd, that's KIDD.com. We call him the money man here around the Price of Business, a phenomenal coach and a thought leader, really, when it comes to all things money. And then we also have Walterbond, who comes with a professional sports career in the NBA and has really learned to apply what he gathered there in his business life as well. And so we're delighted to have him with us. I know you're excited about this as much as I am, Chris. Why don't you go ahead and get us started today?
Yeah, Walter, thanks for being on. I'll just start off real quick with you're the author of the book Swim, How a Shark, a Suckerfish, and a Parasite Teach You Leadership, Mentoring, and Next Level Success. I know a little bit about you. I'm actually familiar with you, but a lot of people that may not have heard some of your talks, tell us a little bit about how that book came about and, what you mean about the sharks and kind of explain some of that.
No, great question, Chris. Thanks for having me, guys. The one thing I learned on my way to the NBA was that I was doing research on how to become elite. And my career lasted 3 years, and I was a little upset about that. But the good thing, my wife and I launched a business, and we've been able to go around the world and teach professionals, business owners, CEOs, entrepreneurs, everything that we've learned on our journey to becoming elite. And the truth is, the most important thing we can all focus on are fundamentals. Fundamentals are how I got to the NBA. Fundamentals are how we replaced our NBA income and been successful in the business world. So the book Swim is really about fundamentals of success in the business world. And the most important fundamental is having a coach and a mentor. And when I think about a shark and a suckerfish, that's the metaphor of a mentor. Sharks run the ocean, but they're vulnerable to parasites, and so they have to work in tandem with the suckerfish just to stay alive, right? And so mentorship, being connected, being coachable is a huge fundamental to success.
Yeah, very interesting. And I love, people I think don't understand how boring it is to become successful. That it requires an enormous amount of repetition, muscle memory, discipline. A lot of things that people just look at and go, man, that's boring. Well, all the labor, all the work that goes into success may be difficult, may even be boring while doing that work, but the payoff is huge. And I get that a lot from your work.
No doubt about it. When I think about basketball first, it was years of fundamentals. Every day having good habits and good rituals. In fact, in our coaching program, we teach good habits and good rituals. I used to shoot 500 shots a day, and that's how I made it to the NBA. And so when we got into business, we started making 25 sales calls a day, every single day, with good form, with follow-up, understanding who the client is, who's our A customer. So in our coaching programs, we teach something very similar, and we just call them habits or rituals. To play in the NBA and to be a good shooter, you have to have good form, and that's only created through days and days of repetition. Same thing is true in business. To be a pro in business, you have to have good form, but you also have to have good habits and good rituals, and that's a big part of what we teach our clients.
Yeah, that's awesome. Chris?
Well, Walter, I think it's kind of interesting. We both come from a sports background. I didn't make it as far as you did, but I grew up around sports. My dad was a coach forever and coached me from when I was walking all the way through high school. It's funny because you went through the professional sports area and then came out as a former athlete and teach business people principles now. And I've been in the business world for a while, and I teach a lot of I like to teach athletes about money management and investing and handling things the right way. So that's kind of interesting. Share a little bit about your journey from going through your college career and then making the move to the pros. What was different? What things did you have to learn and adjustments that you had to make, and kind of lessons that we can take away from that in the business world?
A lot of it had to do with mindset. I remember sitting on the bench, frustrated, and called home, ready to complain. And my parents weren't trying to hear my excuses. Basically, my dad's message was, if you can help your coach win, you'll play, right? And so I learned how to be a catalyst off the bench. And I became the top 6 man in the country. And, we have the transfer portal now. Everybody wants to run to the portal. My parents were like, hey, man, you make your team win. And it really taught me that a lot of times success is a team sport, and you have to learn how to play your role. And coming off the bench as the 6th man, I was able to be a catalyst and help my team win. We went to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, and it was enough to keep my NBA dreams alive. And I kept working on my fundamentals, kept getting better. We have a concept called the off season. We even have a conference where we teach professionals about exponential improvement, how to get significantly better every single year. And the way you do that is not to always work in your business, but to take a break and work on your business. And so we're helping companies, financial advisors, insurance agents, associations, how to get exponentially better by really taking some time and working on the fundamentals so that they can have that tremendous growth. I learned through sports that you can impact a team no matter what role you play. Same thing is true with the company. I don't care if you're the valet at a hotel. I don't care if you work in the maintenance room or you're the CEO. If you got a jersey, you can help your team win. If you're on the team, you can help your team win. I learned that in sports, and I really teach that to all of our clients in business.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal. It's one of the things that's interesting to me, and I see this a lot in our interviews that I do with Chris, is that there's not much preparation for a young man or a woman when they become professional athletes on how to manage the money, how to manage the success, how to be broader in your thinking. And so very, very few of it's really a relatively small percentage who have professional careers come out really doing well after that career's over, often regardless of how many millions they make. To me, it's kind of interesting, and to me, it's almost analogous to lottery winners, right? How many? What is it, like 1/3 or maybe 1/2 of all big lottery winners are bankrupt within 5 years? I see a lot of that in the sports arena. Talk about that.
Well, it's simple, guys, Kevin, Chris. I believe it's impossible to reach your potential without a coach. If you think about it, and the average NBA ball player, never make that kind of money, right? And so if you've never made that kind of money, you don't know how to manage it. And so that's why you need a coach. You need a financial advisor. You need a good woman, right? When I got married, I've been married 29 years. My wife manages the money, right? And she's a good steward of the money. We have a financial advisor who is our head coach, if you will. But we still have to understand the fundamentals of money. And so I don't care if you're talking about money, basketball, business. It all boils down to fundamentals. And if you don't understand the fundamentals of money, you better go get you a good coach. And there's no one better than a financial advisor. Hell, you can go read books about money, right? But, a lot of times it has a lot to do with you being willing to be coachable. And if someone has a lot of money and they don't know how money works and they're not willing to be coachable, it's easy to lose it. A couple of bad business deals, a couple of kids here and there, a divorce. It's not really that hard to go broke, to be honest with you, if you don't understand money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Chris?
That is so good. I guess I had another question that just came to mind is to get to that level, to make it to the NBA or a professional level of anything, you have to have a certain amount of discipline. There's got to be certain things about success that you learn, but not everybody that once their career is over, they don't carry that success over, to another career or, their future afterwards. Why do you think that is? And, how can somebody carry that over? I know you said coaches I agree 1,000,000%. Coaches are fantastic, and they'll get you where you want to go a lot faster too. But why do you think a lot of guys are not able to make that transition and show the same success in their second career? Or also, why do you think some of them that are successful afterwards, what are they doing that allows them to be sometimes, like yourself, even more successful and make more off the court than they did on the court?
Guys, I think a lot of it has to do with support, right? So here's the metaphor. Being an athlete, I had somewhere to go to get better, and that was the gym. And when I got to the gym, every resource was there. Basketballs were there. Rims were there. Weights were there. Showers were there. Everything I needed was at the gym. Coaches were there. Trainers were there. And so if you think about it, for a lot of athletes, when your career is over, where do you go? And so my wife and I, we created Peak Performance Huddle for a place for people to go so that they can get better. And so in Peak Performance Huddle, coaches are there. Curriculum is there. Hope is there, right? Masterminds are there. We all need a place to go. When you want to get in physical shape, you join a health club, right? And everything you need to get in shape is there, including a personal trainer. When I think about my peers, my athletes who have not done well after sports, they had nowhere to go. Sometimes if you grew up in poverty, if you didn't come from a stable situation, you can't turn to your family, right? Because they don't know anything themselves in some cases, right? Especially if you came from poverty. So my wife and I are so excited because we're helping regular people, normal people who are dealing with life. We gave them a place to go. And here's the key word, guys, immersion. I was immersed in basketball. And so every day, all day, I was always around basketball. The only break I took was to go to class and to go to sleep. Total immersion is how I made it to the NBA. And so we have clients now, small business owners, entrepreneurs, big companies who hire us, and we take them through trainings, leadership training, sales training, teamwork training, and they're immersed. And through that immersion, through our coaching, through our curriculum, they're able to get results. So we all need a place to go in order to become peak performers.
Yeah, I've had rich dad, poor dad author Robert Kiyosaki on my show several times, and he alludes a lot to what you just talked about. You often have to change your associates, your friendships, really so many different aspects of your life if you want to be successful. You can't keep, it doesn't mean you dump your friends, but you need to add friends that enrich you. You might need to dump friends if you're holding you back. but you've got to really be willing to do some things with your life in order to have the type of success that you're looking for. And that's a lot of what it sounds like with your with what you just shared.
Well, it's important to understand how to use money and time. My wife and I were smart enough to realize that money and time is all we had, and we didn't have a lot of it. And so we used our money to get access, right? So we joined country clubs. We began to go in the lounges at the airport where the high-end travelers hang out, right? And so we've always been able to use our money to get access to the right kind of people and just spend time with them, right? And so right now we live in a neighborhood with other successful people. We had to pay to get access, right? And now we spend time with other millionaires, multimillionaires, other successful people. So time and money is the one thing sometimes people don't understand. And if I can give someone any advice, use your money to get access to the right kind of people, right? And so sometimes people spend money the wrong way. They want to go to the casino. They want to go and buy fancy cars, which is a depreciating asset. The smartest thing my wife and I did 20 years ago when basketball was over, we took our couple of dollars we had left and got access to successful business people. We got access to business coaches, right? I still have a business coach to this day. And so we've been gaining access to successful people. Now this is our neighborhood. This is our community. These are our friends, and we're totally immersed around successful people. But it all started with understanding access and understanding how time and money, if it's used the right way, can be transformational.
Yeah, very good. Chris?
Man, I'm just excited right now. Like, Walter, you have no idea. I think this is my favorite interview so far this year. It's like you're speaking right from my heart. This stuff is so good. I'm going to go back and listen to it again and even take more notes. Give me, I guess, like, you've already given us several little nuggets, but what's two things that somebody who is, in, let's say, an executive somewhere or a business owner, someone who might be a client of yours, what are two things that somebody could do to start improving their business right now? What are two critical things?
Chris, I'm going to give you one. And, our biggest client is Jersey Mike Subs. We've been working with this brand for the last 5 or 6 years. And when we first started working with Jersey Mike Subs, they were like a regional brand. And for 6 years, we've been throwing into them. They've hired us. And now Jersey Mike's a champ, taking over the sub game. And all of a sudden, Subway is looking over their shoulders, nervous. Here's the key, guys. Hear me clearly. Smart companies are training and development organizations at their core. We've been able to come in and help Jersey Mike turn into a training and development organization. So that 17-year-old kid, right, who has no clue about leadership is learning how to be a leader. That franchisee who might be a multimillionaire but might not have the best social skills is learning how to get into the people business. Jersey Mike Subs has it right. They invest in their people, but unlike Subway, they invest in celebrities to market their brand. They're paying Steph Curry and Charles Barkley and Tony Romo millions of dollars, where Jersey Mike's invest in their people. So that's my message. If you're a small business owner, invest in your people's development, and trust me, you can't go wrong. And that's what smart companies are doing. They invest in their employees' development. A leader's job is to recruit, develop, and retain top talent. No different than a coach, Chris. Recruit, develop, and retain top talent. If you're running a good program, you're going to recruit the right player, you're going to develop the right players, and you're going to retain them. Why? Because you're winning. Companies can do the same exact thing, but what we need to do, what I spend all of my time doing, is helping leaders become better coaches. And that's why the book Swim is so powerful. That's why it's a bestseller, because once you read the book Swim, you can't help but be a better leader. And that's the first thing that we do with our company. We help leaders and managers become the type of leaders that people want to play for, that people want to work for, and it all becomes a part of the culture through training and development.
Very good, very good. And that's a really good point to end on. Love this conversation. Walterbond, NBA player who parlayed that success into a great career of coaching. His website is walterbond.com. That's walterbond.com. Of course, everyone knows Chris Kidd on this show, listeners of this show. He's at chriskidden.com. And by the way, a lot of our conversations, Walter, that Chris and I have really orbit around some of the things you talked about. You really echo a lot of things that we have tried to emphasize to the audience. And you bring a type of expertise that is very authoritative. So we appreciate you, and thanks so much for being with us.
So thank you, guys. And listen, I have a lot more to share. Reach out again. I would love to talk about teamwork and leadership and the mindset. You know, how we think is everything. And here's my last point I want to make. You know, people see me as being successful now and, you know, being wealthy now. Here's my truth. I flunked out my first high school, and I didn't start on my college basketball team. So I learned how to become elite, and that's why I'm on a mission to teach others how to become elite. It doesn't matter where you are right now. We can teach you how to become elite if you are coachable.
Yeah, very good. Thanks so much for being with us. I am Kevin Price. This is the nationally syndicated Price of Business Show.